And then the rest of the hour is yours to accomplish. We're inching our way nearer to that event next week. I heard that. That was better than I could have done. Who did that?
Rachel, do it again.
Did you just do the cat? It was really good. Did you do the pet thing too? The evil pet?
No, wait. Yeah, you do it.
I think you did it better than I did.
Then Rachel will.
Do you promise that if I do the cat, you will do the cat? You have to promise. And I trust you when you say that. You promise?
Sure.
Okay. You're better than I am. You are better than I am. Okay. I have said that we don't fight battles necessarily, although we'll fight a few during World War II, maybe a few during Vietnam, and we'll fight a couple during the American Revolution. Just sort of big battles, not necessarily so that you know the strategy of either the British or the Americans, but more the impact of it. This is the Battle of Sakala. You have to say it like you're about to puke. The Battle of Sakala is important because the British had a fort. The fort was called Sakala, and the Americans captured it. And that fort had a weapon of mass, the most destructive weapon available at the time. Today it would be a nuclear missile. At the time, what do you suppose is the weapon? A large cannon, big sucker, okay? And the fort had those cannons. The Americans captured the fort, and as a result, captured the cannons, and then hauled them away to get to Washington's army. So this was not Washington's army. This was someone else. And I can see little red soldiers and little blue soldiers. And again, the importance of it is that the Americans captured the fort and took the cannons that were there. Sakala is in Upper New York. Right, it's Upper New York. So you get the cannons, and then you bring them down to where George Washington is. And generally, George Washington is around the Virginia area, and so you got to get him there. You got to get him to George Washington so that he can use the cannons. Okay, and I call it the turning point of the war. This is the battle. Anyone happen to know when we get to the Civil War? What is considered the battle of the American Civil War? The one. Yes. Gettysburg, right? When we get to, when you study certain wars, there's just that one battle after which the end result is inevitable. That was it. Okay. At this battle, some British guy named Burgoyne surrenders to some American guy named Gates. Gates' right-hand man, by the way, was a guy by the name of Benedict Arnold. Do you know who Benedict Arnold will become? He's the original traitor, right? Benedict Arnold's a high-ranking American general. He was given command of a fort. The fort happened to be called West Point. Today, West Point is a school, but back then it was a fort. And he turned it over to the British. Or at least that was his intention. And it's kind of a fascinating story how the Americans found out that Benedict Arnold was a traitor or spy or whatever. But I'm not going to bore you with that. But anyway, the reason that the Battle of Sakala is so important is because France is on the sideline. They're not going to help yet until they think the Americans might actually win. And the Americans win this battle. And then the French say, we are in, right? Okay, we'll help you now. We will send our military. Now, I know some of you might be thinking that what the Americans should have said is, no thanks. France, your track record isn't all that great in wars, but sometimes the French win. Sometimes, once in a while, the French win. So just know that the French are on their way after this battle. they're in. They actually think that the Britain might actually lose if the French get involved and help the Americans. The British might actually lose, which would make their day, right? Any of you hardcore Packer or Viking fans? A question for you is this. I'm fascinated. I tolerate both. I'm more of a baseball fan. But for you Packer fans, hardcore Packer fans, are you happier when the Packers win or when the Vikings lose? And for you hardcore Viking fans, would you rather the Vikings win or you just love it when the Packers lose? Right? The French, the Americans win, but the British will lose? Oh, oui, oui. That is Benjamin Franklin. There he is wooing the ladies. Benji was a player. Ben got around. Ben had a reputation. He died of syphilis, which, if any of you know, is a disease that you get by behaving a certain way. He got around. You know what they love? You know what the French ladies loved about him? His hat. He wore a raccoon hat, and it's like, ooh, a wild man. All right. So anyway, there's Benjamin Franklin. There is Louis, the king. This is Benjamin Franklin asking the king, will you help us now? Now that we've won the battle, will you help us now? And this is supposedly the moment when, well, not only when the chicks are checking out Ben here, but when the French said, yep, we're in. Okay. So we now have an alliance with France, a military alliance with France. And it's basically the French will come to our aid. Someday you will return the favor, the French said to the Americans. We'll help you now. Sometime in the future, we may need your help. We might need your military aid. We're going to help you now. You are obligated to help us later. Remember this moment. Remember this. Okay? Doesn't happen. Okay. At that moment, when the French said we're in, the British made a really interesting offer. Basically, they said, look, America, we'll let you go. We'll let you go. We'll end this war now. Just acknowledge that the king is your king. And we will let you have self-rule. It's in fact what Canada does today. Canada is part of this thing called the British Common Union. Canada has a king. Well, queen. The Queen of England is Canada's queen. She's also the Queen of Australia and the Queen of India and New Zealand and a few others. And it could have been over right here. The Americans could have accepted it. They would have ruled themselves. All you have to do is keep having the queen on your money, and that would have been it. And the Americans said, no. No deal. No deal. Which, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows how history would have been different had the Americans accepted it? Maybe the British were lying, and they fully intended on reconquering what they saw as the rebellious colonies. Who knows? We don't know the answer to that. But it's just kind of an interesting thing. Okay. Soon afterwards, other anti-British entities also joined in. It's not that Spain wanted the Americans to win. It's that they wanted the British to lose. It's not that the Dutch wanted the Americans to win. It's that they wanted the British to lose. So now it's not just the Americans against the British. It's the Americans and the French and the Spanish and the Dutch against the British. Suddenly the idea that the Americans might actually win becomes real. Okay?
Why did so many people hate Britain?
Because the British kept winning. It's the same reason everyone hates the Patriots. I mean, the football team, right? Look at that. The Patriots just won again. Wow. Everyone hates them. Except for those of you who like them. Now, that was a Captain Obvious statement. Everyone hates them except those who don't. Really? Okay. Anybody else? That's it. End of notes. Okay. So just timeline here. That means since we don't have class tomorrow is nutcase day. That the next time we have class is Monday, and we will finish the unit. And I'll be here to answer any sort of questions about Blue Book essays and objective tests and stuff like that. And then Tuesday, we start exam number 1. I call it the exam window. It's Tuesday through Friday, with Wednesday being sort of a kind of a study day. Yeah.
So can we like either we have to do our like Kias and Blue Book in like a certain order?
No, whatever you want. Yeah, so let me share what their question was with everyone, just so we all understand. I don't care what order you do the 4 tests. I don't care. Just as long as by 1 week from tomorrow you're done. 21-point test, 21-point test, 21-point test, Blue Book essay. Yeah. Okay, so just a few other things, and then I'm gonna kind of turn you loose here. I'll call on you in a second. So the 3 object. This worked the other day. Okay. It's a brilliant classroom management strategy. The 3 objective tests, 21 questions. Each one has 7 of the 21 as prompt questions. So you will click on a map and you'll look at the map and the question will be about the map. Or you will click on a quote and the question will be about the quote. So there's no memorization necessarily. It's, do you know how to read a map? Can you look at a chart and figure out what's going on? Right? So that's 1/3 of the objective tests is prompt-based questions, leaving 2/3 to be basically, were you paying attention in class? Do you get the big ideas? Okay. Question.
So if we were to take the tests first and then on Wednesday, the little intermission day, say we read over our stuff and we realize we got a question wrong, are we, as soon as the tests are done, are we turning them in, or are we all turning everything in on Friday?
No. You take the test, you submit.
Okay.
Anyone else? Questions?
Does it have like instant grading for exams?
Yeah, you'll know exactly your score. Yep, right away. Yep.
Like,
Sorry? No, it's Kia.
oh.
You don't like Google Forms?
Yeah.
It's Kia. It's Kia. Yes.
We are in like the middle of one of them, and then class is over. Well, like,
Yeah. So if you're only on question 15, suddenly class is over, you can stay, fine. Or if you got to go, just hit end quiz, save for later. If you don't do that, you just got every question you didn't answer wrong. Which, by the way, is the same as your Kias, your weekly Kias too. You can't just say, oh, I'm done, and shut your computer and then go eat dinner and then come back and open your computer and expect it to have saved it. It didn't. You have to end quiz, save for later. It's 2 clicks. End quiz, save for later. Okay. Anybody else? No. Of the 3 objective tests, 1/3 of each is prompt-based. 2/3 of each are note-based. You understand? It ends up being the same.
So there's 3 Yep, so there's 60.
63 points, plus the Blue Book essay. Okay, this class is over today. Today's Friday, so class is over today at how you say mod 8, which is how you say 11:18. What?
Whoa.
That can't be right. I didn't read that right.
11:57. I got 7.
Oh yeah, 7. 10:57. 10:50. There we go. So there's about a half hour. I will be in my office as always, the tutoring center is open. You also have each other. Use this time. Use it. Write a paragraph. Give it to your neighbor. Have them read it. Get it back. Look at it. Fix it. Do it again. Yes, dear.
What sheet can we have on the?
Okay, let me answer that. That's fine. During the blue book, during the objective test, nothing. But during the blue book essay, you can use this, front and back, and your document sheets tab. And all the space that is in existence. Fill it up, man. Okay, this is great. You understand? You understand? This.
Yes.
Anyone else?
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
Potter, so
Off you go.
Potter, I can write my entire essay like on this or something, right? And that's fine.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Right.